everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today, I want to talk about a gun that I've already reviewed once, and it just came out at SHOT Show. In fact, it's actually hitting stores now. It's a gun that I was very hard on in my first review, and yes, I know I just said hard on, but I wanted to revisit it because I might have been very unfair. I said the gun wasn't going to be very good. And this gun was the Smith & Wesson CSX 9mm single action only pistol. Now, I said this gun might suck. And I didn't see what they were thinking. And I think they just rushed something so they would have something for SHOT Show. Apparently, they were a little ahead of the curve since they've already got it going into stores. So maybe SHOT Show wasn't their main objective. But I will have to say, after seeing the gun now remember, I did my first review on pictures and statistics and things I had read. Now I've actually had the gun in my hands. And I'm going to have to say, I was wrong. It is far worse than I thought it was going to be. This thing is a piece of shit. I thought it just wasn't going to be good. But it's actually bad. Now, it's not Kel-Tec level bad, but it's pretty bad. By Smith & Wesson standards, it's like, what were they thinking? This gun in the hand is awful. The grip is formless. The gun itself is kind of clunky and unbalanced. And the other thing about it is it's a single action only pistol. So what are the two biggest things about a single action pistol? What are very important about them? Well, for one, they have to have a very competent safety because they're meant to be carried cocked and locked, because there's no double action trigger. The other thing that's very important is that they have a very good trigger. If it's going to be single action, it needs to be very light. Well, I am happy to report on this gun, it has neither of those things. Like I said, not only is the gun ugly, but it's uncomfortable in the hand. It's unbalanced. It doesn't, in any way feel comfortable to hold, but also the safety is really flimsy. Something that you're going to have to count on. It doesn't feel very tactile. It doesn't have a real good click to it. It doesn't feel solid. It feels flimsy. It wiggles around like it's made out of pot metal. It's just not a good, competent safety. If I'm going to have to know this safety keeps me from having a problem when I'm carrying this gun and I need to trust it, I ain't going to trust that piece of crap. And then, that's not even the worst part. Once the safety's off, the trigger's horrendous. I was pulling and pulling and pulling, and I literally said out loud, it's got to break sometime. This was awful. I don't know what they were thinking when they made this gun. Like I said, I was a little hard on it the first review based on what I saw in pictures and what I read. But apparently, that didn't tell the whole story. Only seeing this shit show of a gun told the whole horrific story. And once I saw it in person, once I held it in my own hands, I was like, what is Smith & Wesson thinking with this gun? It'd be one thing to make a single action only gun that was well thought out, comfortable to hold, had a competent firing system, but they just made this little ugly blob of a gun that they just threw some cuts and ridges on to make it look like an M&P, called it a single action only CSX, when it's really just a piece of garbage. I don't know what they were thinking on this. This is definitely not up to Smith & Wesson standards. I'm not the biggest fan of the M&P, but the M&P, it's like a diamond compared to this thing. The M&P is like, oh my God, this is such a great gun. And yes, I know the M&Ps are good guns. I actually say I think they're better than Glock. I just prefer Glock. I will give them their due, say M&Ps are good guns, especially the ones that get away from that two-piece trigger. But this is not M&P quality. Like I said, this is not even Taurus quality, as far as I'm concerned. It's not quite Kel-Tec quality, because I guess it actually is a functional gun, but it's bad. I wasn't hard enough on it to begin with. I can't imagine anyone would ever want to buy one of these once they have them in their hands, but someone already bought one of the ones that came into my local gun shop. So I guess there's a sucker born every moment, because believe me, you'd really have to be a sucker to buy this piece of shit. All right, everybody, now that that's said, I want to go on here and I want to talk about the bills we're facing in Washington state right now, the anti-gun bills. I don't want to talk too much about the bills themselves. I just want to illustrate a point here with a little chart. Now, if you'll look at this chart, these are the two bills. These are people that have signed in for the public hearing for and against both these bills. Now, if you look at Bill SB 5217, that's the assault weapons ban bill, which I don't know if you could see me right there, but I did air quotes around assault weapons. It's basically a bill that bans pretty much all semi-automatic weapons in the state of Washington, at least semi-automatic rifles. If you look at the number of people that signed in against this bill, it's 4,371. If you look at the people that signed in for it, it's 363. Big difference there. If you look at the other bill, SB 5568, there's 2,847 people that signed in against this bill and 382 that signed in for it. This is a bill that gets rid of the state exemption that prevents municipalities from making laws contrary to the state law. That's so that it can be where you're legal on one side of the street, but illegal on the other side of the street. It's just basically designed to confuse people and to create criminals. So, like I said, I didn't want to talk much about these bills, but I did want to point out something about these numbers. And it's not just that 90% of the people are against these, because that could be fudged. You know, there's going to be people that say, oh, this is just because the gun people sent people over to vote. Sent them over and told them to be against these. Well, that doesn't hold water when you look at the numbers. It does hold water when you look at the people that are for, 363, 382, very similar number on two very different bills. Looks like the Bloomberg people told their people go over and vote for these. That holds water on that. But if you look at the opposing votes, if this was just people we sent over, well, the numbers would be more similar. But as you can see, there's almost twice as many on one as there is on the other. So if we sent over 4,000 people to vote against this one bill, well, then they would have also voted against the other bill because we would have given them the directive to vote against both of them. They wouldn't have even bothered to question, kind of like what it looks like with the 4 votes. The ones in favor, that's what that looks like. Very similar number. When it's these numbers, these two numbers here that have this vast difference between them, that's more of a natural thing. That means there's a lot of people that don't like these bills that have nothing to do with how many people we sent over. It's grassroots. For the numbers to be that different, that's grassroots. People telling the politicians they don't want these bills, especially the assault weapons ban one. The one that bans pretty much all semi-automatic rifles. They don't want it. More than 10 to 1, they don't want it. The other one, it's only about 90% don't want it. So, as you can see, the results of these charts show you the fix wasn't in for the people that are opposing it because the numbers just don't hold up to that. That doesn't ring true when you look at these figures. But that does ring true for the people that are for it. Very clearly a fixed number. But it also says something about politicians here. They are clearly not wanting to enforce the will of the people because 90% of the people that are responding don't want these bills. They're just out there trying to do what they need to do to make sure that that Bloomberg money keeps flowing into their campaign accounts. All right, before I go today, I want to remind everyone, if you go over to gearwebsites.com, there's a link in the upper corner of this video. You can still pre-order one of the very exclusive Fudd Free Zone patches. We're only going to be making as many of these as we sell. So if you want one, go over and get them. The money is going to go to a very good cause. All of the profits are going to go for 2A activism, not to buy someone a new boat or a new suit or fancy shoes, like if you donate to the big groups. So go on over, buy one, pre-order one. They'll be sent out in February. Gear Websites is already on top of it, or Gun Websites is already on top of it, as he runs Gear Websites. So if you want to go over, order one, please do so. It's really, like I said, for a good cause. So go over, order yourself a patch or two, and help out with the fight. And with that being said, I want to go ahead and sign off and say thanks for coming. I hope you all come back again tomorrow. Until then, I just want to remind everyone to always carry and stay safe until I see you again.